Hi everyone, my name is Myiesha and this is Boo Boo. He's not a beauty director like I am.
I love Boo Boo! Hey everyone, I'm David, also a Sephora beauty director. I nominate Boo Boo as a beauty director though.
Boo Boo runs this household and today he is going to help us figure out which brow color you should be using. Like, it's such an elusive thing to learn, especially if you're beginning with makeup or maybe you changed your hair color, and this little blonde poodle is going to help us out. So when we talk about brow color, it's so personal, but there are some general rules that we can share with you to really nail down what's best for you. And then when you get really good at it, maybe you can switch it up a little bit.
Exactly. I fully agree with that. I think brows, like anything when it comes to makeup, there are levels. There's like the beginner level, the basics, the more easy stuff. And of course, you can get really in depth and you can start kind of creating brow routines that are really intricate. But let's talk basics first. How do you pick that brow shade?
Okay, first step is put down the sleepy poodle.
Bye, Boo Boo.
I would say, as far as choosing color, there's some general rules. I would say if you have lighter hair and naturally light brows, you can kind of decide, do you want to stick with that natural sort of lightness, or do you want to get a little bit more definition? Most people want to get a little bit more definition. That's why they're filling in the brows in the first place. So I would say if you have very light hair, medium tone hair, you want to go maybe 1 to 2 shades darker. The darker shades you go, like the more intense it can be. So if you're just beginning, maybe blonde hair, start out with 1 shade darker. And usually different brands have different colors. That means like a taupe or a soft brown, or maybe like a darker blonde, golden blonde, something like that. Now, if you have really dark hair, you might want to go a few shades lighter. We're going to talk about like what I use in a second, but a lot of times people assume that I use like a soft black or a super dark brown, when really I use like a soft brown, medium brown. I go pretty light on that color because if I were to wear this bold eye with a black eyebrow, you would know about it. You'd be like saying it in the comment section. It would be a little bit intense. It would be a little bit much. So I would say think about your natural brow color, where you're starting, and then think about, okay, do I have lighter brows or do I have darker brows? It's really up to preference. If you have lighter hair, maybe 1 to 2 shades darker. If you have darker hair, maybe 1 to 2 shades lighter. And if you have deeper skin, I would say like very deep skin, like a soft black. But also you want to think about undertone.
Undertone is so important. So one of my personal favorites, I've got them all right here. Benefit, precisely my brow. I absolutely love this pencil. There are 12 shades. They are really well curated. They go from really light to soft black, and they also now have an actual gray shade called gray. It could not be easier to get. The rest of the shades are numbers, so it's like 1, 1.5. So you can easily, and I would recommend anyone who's looking for a brow pencil, if you are confused by the name on the shade, look on Sephora.com, because Sephora.com is a great resource. You can see when you choose that shade, it'll give you a description of what it is. So let's say, even if the shade says blonde on the brand, look on Sephora.com, because it might say soft, light, warm blonde. And that's what's great about when it comes to choosing a brow pencil now, is you have a lot of variety because your undertone really is important. So let's say you're fair hair, like Myiesha was talking about somebody who has maybe blonde hair. You have, I guarantee any person out there who has blonde hair has had a struggle at some point or another with choosing a brow shade, because either they put it on and it looks very red, or they put it on and it looks really like dark or greenish. That's because there are undertones that are warm and there are undertones that are cool, almost ashy. So if you are somebody who has really fair hair, like a platinum blonde, you're gonna want something like from the Benefit brow pencils. They've got in their shade 1. It's a light blonde. I'm gonna find it right now. It's a light blonde, but it's a cool blonde. So there's not a lot of, if any, warmth in this tone. So you won't see that red, especially if your brow hairs are kind of blonde to begin with. You add something warm, you might start going, wow, my brows look kind of red. So with something like this, you can see that's a really nice light tone, but it's cool. There's not a lot of redness in that, and that's exactly what you're looking for if you are, say, a platinum or a more cool tone, ashy tone blonde. But if you are somebody who's maybe slightly more wheat colored blonde, slightly strawberry blonde, you're gonna want a little warmth in there. I often think about the average brown haired person, like a medium tone brown hair is probably the most common hair shade, right, that we can think of. It's like sort of like right in the middle there. And that's one of the shades where you can find 3 brow shades that might actually work in terms of light to dark, but you want to look at that undertone. If you're a medium brown that has lots of red or like auburns in there, or just warm and honey and chestnutty, you're going to want to add a little warmth. You're going to want a soft brown with some warmth in it, rather than if you're somebody who's got more of that medium brown that's slightly cooler, a little bit richer, you're going to want to make sure you're going with something that's a little cooler, like a normal brown neutral tone.
So you can kind of see here, like this is shade number 5 of the same brow pencil David's been talking about, and it's definitely warmer. It's not necessarily like an auburn or an aubergine, anything like that, but it's like has way more warm tones to it. And then the other side is number 6, and it's pretty neutral. They're both, I would say, same depth. Usually with a big collection like this, like an Anastasia or a Fenty or something like that, if you try one and maybe the undertone was off, just jump over to another one. So really ask yourself, is it too light? Is it too dark? Or is the undertone off?
And that's a really good point. So I wanted to jump back to the gray shade that Precisely My Brow is just offered, which, first of all, brilliant. Thank you, Benefit, for doing this, because there's so many people out there who have gray hair who struggle. And a big part of the reason that they struggle is not that there's not a depth of tone from lighter to darker that's missing. It's the undertone that's what's so hard, especially with gray hair, because it is really cool, right? That's what's gray. Gray is silver. It's a very cool undertone. And a lot of times what people find is even if they go to a taupe or if they go to a blonde, it's too warm. And all of a sudden they're drawing their brows on. It looks like they're drawing a red brow on, their hair that's like this beautiful silvery gray tone. So with this gray shade, what they did was they made a pretty universal pencil. And what I love about the Precisely My Brows is, depending on how hard you press, you can increase or decrease the darkness of the pencil. So it really gives you a lot of option. So if I press lightly, I can kind of create light strokes, but the more I press hard, I can darken that up, and I can actually go from light to dark, but I'm always keeping it in the correct undertone. And that's what's really helpful when it comes to the gray tones, is because if you have fair hair that's really gray silvery, you could still use this, just press lightly and fill in exactly where you need it, and you'll be good. But if you have that sort of medium gray tone to your hair and you're like, wow, brown does not work, it is too warm on me, you can just press this, fill it in, and it'll be the perfect undertone for that gorgeous gray mid-tone hair. So it's really great. I think it's great to have that gray option, and especially in a pencil like this that's so versatile to use.
We tend to give a lot of information because there's so many people watching, and we can't talk to you, we can't consult with you, so we like to give a broad amount of information. So to summarize, I would say light hair, 1 to 2 shades darker. Dark hair, 1 to 2 shades lighter. If in doubt, I would say from all the people that I've helped over the years, people tend to go too dark on the brows.
Always.
So if you're in doubt, go a shade lighter. My brow recipe I will share with you, because I get a lot of different PR packages, or people will be like, oh, you'll love this brow pencil, and they always send me black. I don't even have black hair. Like, it looks very dark, but if you put it next to something black, I was a redheaded kid sort of, so I have like a very warm dark brown. So I actually use medium brown, the Anastasia Perfect Brow Pencil. I found that, since I've been at home doing my makeup, I just want something quick and easy. The Perfect Brow Pencil is really nice because you literally just block out the entire brow and use the spoolie to scrape away negative space. So that just means you're blending it away. I've been liking medium brown, and if I want to, I don't always do it. I'll use one of the Precisely My Brows. I think I use a 5 right now, and I'll just go through and just add a few little strokes to make it look really natural. I don't really have a tail to my brow, but it'll just kind of add it. Now, if I were to use 5 and to block out my entire brow, it would be way too dark for me. So think about what you're trying to do. Are you gonna go through and do little strokes? maybe you can get away with a darker brow pencil, like David was saying, just press a little bit harder. You can always bump it up a little bit with something, but when you are rushing out the door and you block out your brow with something too dark, it's definitely happened to me because I've tried a lot of new brow products this year. And I've done it really fast, jumped on a call, and I'm like, whoa, my brows are really dark. So when in doubt, go a little bit lighter.
And also, no, you brought up a really good point, which is like sort of secondary accessory brow products. I think brow gels are really great for the beginner. Milk Makeup does their Kush brow gel. I happen to have the clear version. It's just because for me, I have, you know, as a guy, I'm not really filling in my brows too much, although I do fill in some holes that are there. And I actually use, to be honest with you, I use the shade 1 on the Precisely My Brow because it's really kind of a cool shade and it's subtle because I have a dark, thicker brow, so I don't want to make it look like I have caterpillars on my head. I just want to even out the shapes a little bit where I had spaces missing. These also come in shades. So a lot of these, including the Milk Makeup one, comes in a variety of shades. And if you're the type of person that gets a little nervous or you just want to add that second accessory to your brows to add a little bit of highlight or something, this is a great easy way to add a little dimension. Add the hold. You can actually, with a slightly tinted brow gel, even kind of go in quickly, brush it through, and it'll shape it and give it some definition really quickly and easy. And I would still say though, when you're choosing the shades on a brow gel, don't go darker than, probably go to your shade itself or maybe one shade lighter because it is kind of coating the hairs themselves. So you don't want to all of a sudden tint your brow hair. Whereas a pencil, you're really drawing on the skin underneath. So that's why you want to think of those shade rules that Myiesha was summarizing before. But these are great tools for the beginner to really just sort of figure out that easy, quick, simple brow shading match.
Always having like one brow solution, whether it be a pencil, a powder, a pomade, and having a brow gel, because on your days when you don't want to do anything, you just put the brow gel on. Learn the rules so you can break them. Like I would say, like if you are having a brow solution that you really enjoy, like go with it. Like I have my basic one that I use almost every day and I'll switch it up depending. But hopefully this was helpful. It's always so difficult to like try to answer 5,000 million people's questions, but I think this was pretty helpful to kind of push you in the right direction for sure.
Hopefully that gives you some guidance, especially when you're thinking about those basic brow products that you're looking for. And like I said, really, truly, Sephora.com is one of the best resources. Even I use it, and I know Myiesha does as well. And we're both beauty directors, very well knowledgeable in makeup. And I still find myself going on to Sephora.com if a new brow product comes out. Yeah, reading those descriptions of those colors are so helpful. Every brand uses a different name. So the Sephora.com is kind of your go-to helping resource, and it will really guide you in the right, correct direction for those brows. Let us know in the comment section below if this helped at all, if there were any additional questions, because we'll be on there answering them for you all. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can get new videos from us every single week. And until next time, make sure you're using the right brow because they are the frames of your face, and we want to make sure your beauty is framed deliciously. We'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.